Right now on Denver 7 News at 5.
Uno se asusta, pues apenas que llegan a tocar la puerta de esta manera fuertemente, a gritar que tenemos que abrirles la puerta.
Trump's promised immigration raids underway across the Denver metro.
Finally glad somebody's doing something about this. My wife and kids come walking by here every day, you know, and they're scared.
Tonight, federal agencies in full force, who they're targeting.
We have to come to the communities because we don't get the cooperation that we need.
And how communities are responding.
There's no such thing as an illegal alien.
And the growing protest in the heart of the city.
Our voices together are louder than one man.
Federal immigration raids sweeping across the Denver metro as hundreds protest President Trump's crackdowns at the state capitol. Thank you for joining us for Denver 7 News at 5. I'm Jessica Porter.
And I'm Micah Smith. We begin with several federal agencies, including ICE, helping Homeland Security with immigration enforcement at multiple Denver metro locations. Take a look at your screen. The ICE Denver field office said 100 plus members of Tren de Aragua were targeted in the operations today, though it's not immediately clear how many arrests were made.
We have live team coverage on the ground across the metro, talking to federal officials and residents about the operations unfolding.
We want to start with Denver 7's Brandon Richard live with protests happening now at the state capitol, stemming from frustrations over the Trump administration's immigration policies. Brandon, what are demonstrators saying?
Well, you know, many of those protesters very upset with ICE. They're especially upset with President Trump and his immigration policies, and specifically those mass deportations. Now, I'll step out of the way so you can see what this crowd of protesters looks like right now. This is no longer hundreds of people. This is at least a couple of thousand. A couple of thousand protesters have been in and around the Colorado State Capitol throughout this afternoon. This crowd has thinned out just a bit, but still a massive crowd here outside the Capitol. At times, some of these protesters, hundreds by the hundreds, breaking off to protest and march down the streets of downtown Denver. Now, many of these protesters, they represent the immigrant community, some of them children of immigrants, many of them just angry about the president's immigration policy, including those raids, those ICE raids that happened this morning in Denver and Aurora. Some concerned about families and children potentially getting caught up in those raids. Other protesters here represent the LGBTQ community, specifically the transgender community, which feels under attack with the president signing an executive order just this afternoon banning transgender athletes from women's sports. And really out here, it's a coalition of people protesting President Trump and his administration. Here's what some of them had to tell us earlier.
But I think people are pretty angry. They're pretty tired of seeing things being eroded, our rights being eroded.
Trump doesn't have a mandate. There are people that have that want to protect what we have in our country.
Beautiful how everyone's united out here, the different flags, everyone's protesting for their right, their cause, you know, on their values, and that's amazing.
Now, I saw just as many signs protesting billionaire Elon Musk as I did with President Trump. Many protesters told us they don't like this idea of Elon Musk having so much power. Many people wondering, well, who elected Elon Musk in the first place? Now, organizers expect this crowd to grow over the next few hours because they're expected to have this protest going on till 8 o'clock tonight. So they're expecting more people as they get off from work to come down here to the state capitol. We're live in Denver. Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
Well, I'm disgusted by it. We were a very easy target.
A shocking scene unfolding this morning at the Cedar Run Apartments in Denver. Multiple agencies, including ICE, TdA, and the FBI, were involved in a massive Homeland Security operation. People were seen in handcuffs being escorted to a bus parked at the back of the street before protesters arrived shortly after. One tenant, who's lived there for 14 years, expressed her anger over the operation.
I was expecting this to happen, and not just because we do have immigrants here, but because this place has a reputation and its name has been put out there as if this is a dangerous place and whatnot, which it isn't, but I was expecting this to happen.
Denver 7 Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski continuing our team coverage tonight at the Whispering Pines Apartments in Aurora.
Tony, you've been following this operation all day. What's the scene like there now?
Well, this is generally ground zero of one of the major operations today. Let me paint a picture for you where we are in Aurora. We're south of Colfax, we're east of Chambers, and what we saw here shortly after sunrise was a major operation. They had shut down about 4 square blocks, several law enforcement officers here. But a different story here from what we heard from Brandon a little earlier in the newscast, because we talked to neighbors and they welcomed the police opportunity.
It's been horrible. It's been really horrible.
With his pet lizard on his shoulder, that's how Eric Schwank described his neighborhood before he woke up to find federal agents swarming this apartment complex.
You know, I got 13 grandkids. I got 4 children. You know, we walk by here every day, you know, and they're scared to come out of the house.
Within an hour, he watched as 8 men left the apartment complex in handcuffs, arrested by federal agents at the Whistling Pines Apartments, a location that has been known to law enforcement for several months.
No, I feel glad that somebody's finally doing something about this place.
What do you say to the federal agents that were here this morning?
I say, well, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work.
These actions were targeted operation focused on violent criminal aliens, TdA members, and those who are a threat to our public safety.
The acting special agent in charge of ICE said the multi-agency task force targeted bad guys who have left a mark in recent weeks and recent months.
I can tell you that one of the folks that was arrested was a fugitive from the country of Chile. He is a known TdA member, and he was wanted for kidnapping and extortion from another country.
In recapping the more than a half dozen operations throughout the metro area, Tim Lenzen said he's not judging the operation based on numbers alone.
I want to measure this success in the impact that we have on the community. Our focus is public safety. We are targeting those people that are threats to public safety. So if we can make this public safety safer by targeting those individuals and removing them from the street, that's what we're going to do.
Will there be more in the coming days?
We'll get back with you on that, Tony. Guys, thanks a lot. That's all the time that...
So there you had perspective from a resident who lived right around the corner here and insight from the special agent in charge explaining the operation. Will there be more? I think you can bet on it. Reporting live in Aurora, I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski.
And we know you'll
Jessica, Micah.
Yeah, we know you'll keep pushing for answers there, Tony, as well. Well, we want to go ahead and bring in Denver 7's Christian Lopez at the edge of Lowry Apartments in Aurora.
Christian, the city ordered that complex closed last month, and now federal authorities are conducting operations there today. How are people living there faring?
Yeah, we were here early this morning when officials swarmed this area, and we spoke with a family who lives here. When ICE came knocking on their door, we were on a FaceTime call with them. The Moreno family says that they've been going through the asylum process for the last several months, so they have all of their documents in order. And in those moments, when those officials came up to their apartment, they didn't know what their rights were.
Casa y pues uno se asusta pues al ver que llegan a tocar la puerta de esta manera fuertemente. Nosotros nos ganamos nuestro asilo el 14 de enero de este año. Tenemos nuestros documentos en regla.
And I spoke with a law professor from CU Boulder who says that families who are in that situation, they don't have to open the door or engage with officials, and they don't have to let them in if they don't have a warrant that is signed by a judge.
And there are a lot of immigrants in our community who either already have a status, right, have been granted some kind of immigration relief, and they should not be coming into contact with ICE agents because it just doesn't apply to them.
And again, we were here this morning when those officials were on the scene. We didn't see any arrests being made, but I did reach out to ICE just to confirm that they didn't detain anyone, but they still have not gotten back to us. Live in Aurora this evening, I'm Christian Lopez, Denver 7.
We know law enforcement relies on the element of surprise, but you could just hear how scared those families were.
Chaotic for everyone involved and who lives around there. Christian, thank you for that report. Denver 7 is continuing to follow federal operations across the metro. You can also catch up on today's events online. Just look for this story on denver7.com.